Jonathan Majors need to get him a new woman. Just saying. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s with this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, 1987 at online booksellers everywhere. About 2 weeks ago, YouTuber The Business exposed YouTuber Just Pearly, a white woman from Chicago who was living in the UK and creating her own platform on social media as a racist and a white supremacist. Now, The Business did this by playing clips of a video of an interview that Just Pearly had with white supremacist Nick Fuentes. And after The Business exposed Just Pearly for just being a racist and a white supremacist, many who were black on social media got in their feelings about Just Pearly, and there was a contingent of black male YouTubers who went to defend Just Pearly, whereas others went to stand up against her. However, many sides are not looking at the big picture as related to black social media, and they're not looking at the picture of new black media, because right now there is a war as related to trying to control the narrative of new black media, and Just Pearly was just another individual that the white supremacists wanted to use to be an influencer on social media to controlling the narrative of black media online. Now, I say black media online because New Black Media is a completely different institution, and New Black Media is focused primarily on the mission of black empowerment. Many new black media channels are all about creating a narrative that elevates, uplifts, and empowers black people, and this is something white supremacy doesn't like, because it cannot control the narrative as related to new black media, nor can it have any effects on the long-term impact of new black media on the modern day black masses, because new black media is starting to have an influence on young brothers and sisters and the way that they think, and that's what the white supremacist does not like. It does not like that you have young brothers and sisters no longer talking about trivial and foolish things like the gender war and going back and forth about black men and black women and regarding things like dating and relationships. Because those in new black media, we are focused on more important things like building black-owned businesses, building up black people to get a sense of awareness, and also focused on political platforms like getting tangibles for black people in exchange for their vote. 1, 2, being able to pick and choose our own candidates and not have to deal with their own hand-picked bootlicks and shills, and 3, going out here and getting fair and just compensation for things like reparations for the legacy of slavery and the work that slaves did to build this country, the wages that we were denied and the opportunities at the American dream we were denied under the system of Jim Crow, which was separate and unequal, and to be recompensed for the years of labor we were denied due to current and ongoing discrimination. That is the mission primarily of new black media, and also to educate people about the insidious nature about anti-black racism. That is what new black media's main focus is, and as new black media has been out here educating young brothers and sisters and influencing a new generation of black men and black women, this is something that many of the white supremacists who control social media are upset about, and what they want to do is try to get people off the road of black empowerment. And the way they get black people off the road to black empowerment is to distract them with individuals who push and promote narratives that are destructive and detrimental to us. Now, what these individuals want to do is go out here and push distracting narratives like the gender war, and they want to go out here and use an individual to influence the black masses so that they will be arguing in a back and forth as related to black men versus black women in a gender war. Meanwhile, black people are not focused on black empowerment or focused on narratives like looking to pick our own political candidates and looking to pick candidates who will give us the tangibles in exchange for our vote and be able to bring back resources to a black community that has been exploited for over 70 years by many of these politicians who just do not care to empower black people, but will give money to non-citizens instead of us. And again, this is all about trying to control the media, because those who control the money control the media, and those who control the media control the narrative. And the narrative they want to control on social media is one where black people are just sitting there listening to foolishness and going back and forth and being influenced to go out here and get into this gender war debate that has gone on ever since about 2006 or so when YouTube started. And these individuals want to keep us going back and forth instead of moving forward on the road to black empowerment. So what the people who control these platforms, what they want to do is go out here and find a face to go out here and represent that narrative. They want to find an influencer who will go out here and influence the black masses, and they will go out here and use that bootlick to go out here and shill the narratives they want to shill. Now, in the past, YouTube has tried to use a group of influencers to go out here and influence the black masses, but they were ignored, and they wound up losing a bunch of money because nobody watched these paid channels, and nobody cared to watch these channels because these channels basically were not about their agenda. However, when they saw Kevin Samuels starting to rise, they started to see somebody they could use to further their distraction agenda, and they also saw somebody they could use to control the narrative as related to social media and the minds of the black masses. So Kevin Samuels was somebody that the people at YouTube, I believe, were using to be their influencer to influence the narrative of black people on social media, and he was being used to go out here and further the narrative they wanted to push as related to keeping black people distracted and fighting with each other in a gender war, instead of using the platform to go out here and focus on a platform of black empowerment and focusing on the political platforms of tangibles and focusing on the creating a black agenda. Because if you've got thousands of channels talking about black empowerment and black agenda, this again runs counter to the white supremacist system, which needs black people to be codependent, which needs them to depend on white people and see them as the superior. And when you've got black folks in the middle of a gender war, they're sitting there seeing whites as superior and looking to go back and forth with each other and not focused on goals like group economics, supporting black-owned businesses, or building black-owned businesses. No, they're in the middle of a fight with each other, and that's why they went out here and allowed Kevin Samuels' channel to rise in the YouTube algorithm. The whole goal of allowing Kevin Samuels to rise in the YouTube algorithm, whereas other black channels in the past who had similar content were flagged and deleted, and these channels were taken off the air, they allowed Kevin Samuels to rise because it allowed them to push a narrative in the black space of YouTube. Moreover, it allowed them to have an influencer who could influence the black masses, and as those black masses were influenced, they were getting back into the rhetoric of the gender war, and what they wanted to do was use Kevin Samuels to push the narrative as related to foundational black Americans being in the middle of this gender war, focused on relationships and going back and forth with each other, and not focused on more important matters like black empowerment, picking your political candidates, fighting for reparations, demanding tangibles from your candidates. They don't want black people focused on those things, and that's why Kevin Samuels was a very useful idiot to them, and that's why they allowed him to rise in the algorithm and rise to the 1 million subscriber mark. The reason why they allowed him to arise to the 1 million subscriber mark is because they could use him to influence the black masses. They could use him to influence the narrative regarding black people online, and they could use him to influence the thinking of the young black masses who were born with computers and cell phones and iPads. And as they were influenced by this man on social media, it would be similar to all of the black women who watched the Oprah Winfrey Show and drank all of her poison Kool-Aid and listened to all of her misandrous rhetoric. And that's the reason why they let Kevin Samuels rise in the algorithm and allowed him to get to the 1 million subscriber mark and allowed him to grow on the YouTube platform. Unfortunately, as Kevin Samuels had basically started his decline after the entire Nicki Minaj episode, he sadly wound up passing away, and without anybody to influence the black masses, we started to see the entire black sector of YouTube go and become this rudderless ship as related to white supremacy. Because white supremacy, when they saw that the black masses did not have a leader, what they wanted to do was go out here and find another leader that they could go out here and influence the black masses with. And the person they needed to find was somebody that they could fit into their algorithm and be able to control the narrative and the comings and goings and influence those in the black male sector of YouTube. And they didn't want to get a black face this time, because if you got a black face, what would happen is he would get challenged by black women and black men. But what they wanted to do was spellbind these black people, and the easiest way to spellbind the black male sector of YouTube was to go out here and find a white female. And that's where Just Pearly comes in. Just Pearly was just the perfect person to fit white supremacy's whole plan to control the black sector of YouTube. Here you would have a white female who could be the perfect person to spellbind these black males who already had grudges against the black women, and this woman could be packaged as the Nawalt, or the unicorn, the ideal that would be the woman that they could use to refute many of their narratives as related to black women, and be the standard that they would aspire to as related to a covert contract with this 20-something, average-looking, at best, white female from Chicago. And the fact that she had her own studio production, again, was a plus for those in white supremacy, because here you have somebody who they could use to control the narrative, and somebody who could reach out to these other YouTubers and use them to influence the other black masses, because what they would do is use the Just Pearly like a pyramid at the top, have her contact the Obsidians, have her contact the O'Shea Duke Jacksons, have her contact the Angry Mans and many others who had large subscriber bases of black males, and use her to influence these males by telling them what they wanted to hear, and then as she was telling them what they wanted to hear, use them to go out here and push her message. Again, this was a big long-term plan. It was all about white supremacy getting control over the black masses on black social media, and using more black male useful idiots to control the narrative of black social media. And as they use these useful idiots and have them spellbound by this white female is the one dictating to these black men And these black men are running around like slaves on the plantation, hoping, wishing, and praying for a chance to get in this woman to drop the skid mark thong and allow them to get the taste of the atomic waste, all the while being influenced by her to go out here and push whatever narrative she wanted to push. However, like Kevin Samuels, Just Pearly just jumped the gun, and when Just Pearly just jumped the gun, it wound up derailing white supremacy's plans for controlling the narrative on black social media. Because when Just Pearly just had the interview with Nick Fuentes, it threw a monkey wrench, I believe, in the whole plan to control the black sector of YouTube. And the goal again was about controlling the black sector of YouTube and controlling the messages on the black sector of YouTube so that they could fit white supremacy's agenda. The whole point was, with Just Pearly, she would be out here interviewing the black guys, and these spellbound black guys who were caught up in her crystal blue eyes and her creamy white skin, and even some of these sisters out here caught up in her crystal blue eyes and her creamy white skin. They are sitting there agreeing with her, going along to get along, and they're thinking that this is going to help advance their channel, when in actuality, the whole goal isn't about advancing their channels, it's about controlling the narrative on those channels, controlling the mission and the message on those channels, and controlling the information on those channels so it fits the narratives of white supremacy. And instead of us hearing about black people talking about black empowerment, those black people are being told by Just Pearly what just to say, and as they're saying what Just Pearly just wants them to say, she becomes a de facto overseer, and this de facto overseer controls the narrative of these black male channels. And instead of these black male channels going out here and believing that they have some sort of independent thought, no, they're just out here parroting whatever this white woman wants them to say. Again, giving us a complete impact of white supremacy on these black platforms, and these black platforms, because they want to keep the super chat and Cash App money and the Patreon money flowing, they further enter into a covert contract, and they further wind up compromising themselves. And that's basically what happened to the manosphere. Many of these men, in order to try to continue advancing their channels, made compromises with Just Pearly, and that's why these men cannot be trusted at this point, because they have basically become agents of white supremacy, and they're out here parroting the narratives. Even worse, they're looking to defend this white supremacist, but many people, they don't want to see the big picture as related to black social media, because the bigger picture as related to black social media is about white supremacy looking to control the narrative of black social media, because they don't like the idea of black people using black social media to create new black media, because new black media is all about black empowerment. New black media is all about creating images about the black experience, which show us a richer and broader picture. It is about presenting and showing us clear pictures of anti-black racism, and it's all about black people taking power for themselves and taking power and control over their own image, and black people taking power and control to the point over their own image that they are no longer dependent on legacy black media like a BET, like a former Johnson Publications, things that promote anti-black messages in their media. They don't like the idea of people using platforms like YouTube and other social media to present images and messages that empower black people. So what they want to do is find some useful idiots who are caught up in their feelings about fit black women and caught up in a gender war with black women, and they take advantage of these men's emotional vulnerability and use them as a gateway to coming into the black social media. And as they come into black social media, manipulating the feelings of these black males, what they do is slowly and insidiously start taking control over the narrative of black social media, because these spellbound individuals, they are so caught up in their feelings about a white woman paying attention to them, they can't see how this female is manipulating them and manipulating their entire platform. And that is what the business revealed as related to that meeting between Just Pearly and Nick Fuentes, that there is an effort to again control the narrative on black social media. And this effort to control black social media is one, again, about influencing black people and influencing them to participate in dysfunction and self-hatred, and further perpetuate self-hatred like we currently see from platforms like, when I look at Obsidian and the way he went out here and was making excuses for Just Pearly and many of these black male YouTubers. You're sitting here making excuses for a woman who sat with the enemy of black people, a white supremacist. You made excuses for a woman as related to her going out here and sitting with your enemy, because this woman sat with your enemy. She sits there and goes and talks about she was out here looking to build her platform with black channels, but really she was just looking to use black channels, and she was looking to use black channels to elevate her mediocre social status, and looking to elevate her mediocre social status so that she could go out here and again monkey branch to the alt-right, because she knew that the alt-right was a larger social and political base, and again looking to use that leverage that she had as related to the information she got. And she also could use this information that she has as related to these black males on social media to say, I am an influencer of those black people, and since I am an influencer, I can gain control over those masses, and that gives her a bargaining chip as related to the alt-right, because the alt-right, again, like the far left, are two sides of the same coin, and both sides of those coins want to create anti-black racism. They want to control black people through anti-black racism, and they want to control black people by promoting anti-black messages on their platforms. And that's what they do as related to these platforms, by manipulating black males who are so caught up in their feelings about black women that they can't see that the white female whose attention that they're craving is not acting in their best interests. No, this white female is basically seeing them as weak, seeing them as useful idiots, seeing them as pawns in furthering their white supremacist agenda, and looking to go out here and further promote anti-black messages, because when these black males go out here and continue to rail about black women, they are actually participating in anti-black racism, because when you have black men out here railing about black women, and black men railing about black women, and black women railing about black men in this gender war, this is something white supremacy will weaponize, because when you have people divided, it's an easy way to conquer them. And this is something many black folks aren't thinking about, because they're sitting there getting caught up in the rhetoric of this black social media, not understanding new black media saw what was going on, and new black media sees what's going on with Just Pearly. And again, like the late Kevin Samuels, it's all about controlling the narrative of black social media to turn it into one big minstrel show, because that's what the white supremacists see as comfortable in their smooth world. And this is what makes their world smooth, is seeing black people acting a fool, black people getting emotional and going back and forth, black people saying that they don't like each other and hate each other. That's what makes them comfortable, and that's what they want to see every day on the platforms. They don't want you to see intelligent, articulate black people like myself talking about a variety of different subjects. No, what they want to see are a bunch of minstrels and clowns, because that's what they want to see on these platforms. And when you see a bunch of black males running up like slaves to defend Missy Ann and Just Pearly, they are just they don't see how they're just being used as pawns to, again, control the overall narrative of black social media, because controlling the overall narrative of black social media is the ultimate goal. And when they couldn't do it with Kevin Samuels, they went out here and found Just Pearly and just used her to be able to do the dirty work that Kevin Samuels wasn't able to do. So many black folks are sitting up here thinking, oh, they just exposed Just Pearly as a racist. No, this is bigger than that, because if you're looking at the overall long-term chessboard, this is, again, all about controlling the black masses, controlling the way we think by having these influencers influence our thinking. And the ultimate goal is to stop you from being influenced from thinking about feeling a sense of pride and self-worth about being black, feeling a sense of worth about being black, seeing power in being black, seeing confidence in being black, into being like an Obsidian or an O'Shea or one of these other guys looking to pander to some white female, looking for white validation and approval, when the whole thing is you need to be looking for the approval of the Most High and looking for the support of your brothers and sisters. They want to take you off that road of working towards taking your own power, because when you look at new black media, it's all about taking your power, and what they want to do is have you focused back on that road of codependency. And that, again, is something they want to do because, again, the young black masses, they're watching social media, and it's all about controlling the narratives on social media. And this is something brothers and sisters really have to think about as related to the whole Just Pearly situation, because at the end of the day, it's about controlling what you think. And they don't like the idea of individuals controlling our media, and they don't like the idea of black people controlling our media to empower ourselves. No, they want us looking towards some white person seeking their attention and approval. And that's sadly what we saw with many of these other YouTubers like Obsidian and O'Shea and all the Angry Man and many of these others. They're looking for the approval of this white woman instead of looking to stand up and empower other black people as their own black man and others like their own black woman. Now, if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find those books at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.